With the massive success that was Scream, it was almost guaranteed that a sequel would follow. But how well did that sequel follow up with the original? Let's talk about it. Greetings everyone, my name is Nightshade, this is The Night Shift, a home for all things spooky, and today we're going to be talking about Scream 2, released in 1997. So Scream 2 is oftentimes most people's favorite sequel. As a matter of fact, I know a few people that say that Scream 2 is better than the original. I mean, I would disagree, but who am I to kink shame? Now, I've incorrectly stated in the past that this was the first Scream movie that I saw in theaters. It was not. I saw Scream 3 in the theater. I do remember fondly of watching this movie the first day that it was released on VHS. I begged and begged my mom to go and rent it. And we did, we watched it and we had a great time. And up until recently, this used to be my number 2 spot of my favorite Scream movie of all time. But things have changed, especially on my last viewing. So I'm not going to break this movie down beat by beat like most people do. Instead, I'm going to recommend that you go watch this movie for yourself because it is the only way that you are going to get your own opinion of this film. And then you can come back here and we can have a discussion in the comments about your thoughts of this video. What I'm going to do is break this down into 2 simple camps, what I liked and what I didn't like. But we start off with a positive note with what I liked. So up first on that list is the opening. I do love that this is the only Scream movie that does not start off with a phone call. Now, whenever I started off doing this review series, I sat down and watched every Scream movie twice. And the phone call trope at the beginning of all these films starts to get a little tired after a while. So it's refreshing popping in Scream 2 knowing that there's not going to be that phone call. Like, yeah, in the movie Stab, there's that phone call, but that's not the actual killer. That is, you know, a movie adaptation of what happened in the first film. I especially love that the opening kills take place in a movie theater out in the open in front of everybody. And it really gives you a feeling that no one is safe in any environment in this film. Now, the bathroom kill is a little on the silly side, I will admit, but you know, it is what it is. It doesn't really take away from the film, in my opinion. Yeah, that whole opening sequence, definitely an awesome addition to the Scream franchise, and yeah, like it a lot. So up next on my likes list is the story. This story feels like a natural progression, especially the first 3 films. They all feel like natural progressions with each other. You know, Sydney's growing up, she's going to college, which is the natural progression in life for most people. She has a new boyfriend, she has a new friend group, and they all die violently. So that feels like a natural progression of story. Like, it feels like 1, 2, and 3 all have one solid structured story behind it. And story is the most important part of any movie for me. So up next we have the characters. So the Scream franchise is one of the best franchises for, you know, characters, likable characters. Aside from the 2 ditzy college girls, I like every character in this film. Like, Dewey comes back, Sydney comes back, Gail comes back, and Randy comes back for a little bit. R.I.P. Randy. You know, Cotton Weary plays more of a role in this movie, and I love Liev Schreiber's, you know, portrayal of the character. You know, the Scream franchise, I think, has some of the best likable characters in any horror film. And it's a smart move because whenever these characters come face to Ghostface, see what I did there? Whenever they come face to face with Ghostface, you know, there actually feels like there's stakes here because you don't want this person to die, but whenever they do, you're like, all right, so that was pretty cool. So yeah, Scream 2, as well as most of the Scream films, have a great cast of characters and I enjoy them all. So up next on the things that I liked about this movie is, of course, Ghostface. As cool as Roger Jackson made Ghostface's voice in Scream 1, it's even cooler here.
What are you calling for?
What if I said you?
What if I said goodbye?
Why would you want to do that?
Why do you always answer a question with a question?
I'm inquisitive.
Yeah, and I'm impatient. Look, do you want to leave a message for someone?
Do you want to die tonight, Cece?
It's a lot grittier, it's a lot more malevolent sounding than he did in the first movie. The Ghostface voice just feels more evil in this film. Also, the mask looks a lot better in this film. Like, the Gen 2 just looks cooler than the Gen 1 Ghostface mask. Like in the first Scream, there were scenes where the Ghostface mask looks a little out of shape, a little misshapen. Like when Sydney first gets attacked, the mask is kind of pushed in underneath one of the eyes. And also during the Tatum death scene, like the mouth was a little bit misshapen. However, that is remedied in Scream 2. The mask looks absolutely phenomenal. Now, the Ghostface mask is made out of vinyl, and I think they changed the vinyl in Scream 2, in the Gen 2 masks. So they're a lot more firm, a lot less floppy and easily misshapen. And I honestly think Ghostface looks cooler because of that. I think the Gen 2 might honestly be my second most favorite Ghostface mask of all time. You guys think I should do like a Ghostface mask ranking? Let me know in the comments below. But yeah, the Ghostface, absolutely an awesome character in this movie. You know, I think the mask looks better. I think the robe looks pretty cool. I think it's got more sparkles than the Scream 1 robe does, but you know, I could just be making that up in my head, I don't know. So up next for the final thing that I liked about this movie, and that is the Nancy Loomis killer reveal. Up until Scream 6, it was just Mrs. Loomis. We didn't know that her first name was Nancy until Scream 6, but now that Scream 6 has come and gone, I'm just going to refer to her as Nancy. Is that okay with you? Good, because I'm gonna. I was saying before that this feels like a very natural progression of story, and it makes sense that she would be the one that wanted to kill Sidney because, you know, Sidney killed her son, so therefore, good old-fashioned revenge, Nancy wants to kill Sidney. And also, Nancy kills Randy for talking shit on Billy, and I actually, even though it sucks that he died, I do like the fact that, you know, whenever they killed off Randy, who was a fan favorite, you know, it made this movie feel like it had stakes. Like anybody could get it. Anybody could die in this film, and I do respect it for that, even though I'm upset that Randy died still to this day. So yeah, Nancy Loomis's killer reveal feeling natural, and it makes sense story-wise that, you know, somebody would go after the person that killed her son. And that's going to do it for all the things that I liked in this film, which means we move over to the somewhat negative, the things that I didn't like about this film. And the first thing that I don't like about this movie is the pacing. There are some scenes in this movie that feel like they go on entirely too long. Like, especially on my last watch of this film, it felt like it was just kind of dragging on and on and on, up to the point that it started to get a little bit boring for me. The script got leaked on the internet before most people had the internet, if you can believe it or not. But yeah, the script was leaked and they had to rush to do a few rewrites and reshoots. And I think some of these scenes go on a little bit too long because they had to fill in some of those gaps. So like the pacing just feels a little off in a few scenes in this movie. I don't know, at times this movie just feels like 3 hours long when it's not that long at all. And there are some scenes in this movie that just feel like they're dragging on and on and on and on and on, and I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan, unfortunately. So up next on the list for things that I didn't like is, unfortunately, the kills. Unfortunately, the kills in this movie fall kind of flat for me. With the exception of the police officer that gets the pipe through the head, which is an incidental kill, it's not a purposeful kill anyway. Outside of that, none of these kills are anything to write home about. Like, it's all knife stabs and a couple shootings. So the first Scream film, you know, we had disembowelings, we had a skull crushed in a garage door, and this one we just get a police officer that gets a pipe through his head, and then a handful of knife stabs, a lot of which you don't really see much of, and a few gun kills as well. And those are, I find gun kills in horror movies to be boring. It's not my cup of tea. It's a slasher flick, not a blaster flick, you know what I'm saying? And you know, it's a little disappointing, especially when Randy says,
the body count is always bigger. Number 2, the death scenes are always much more elaborate. More blood, more gore. Carnage candy.
And there's no carnage candy to be munched on in this film, unfortunately. It just kind of sucks. Sorry, I know people love this film, but like the kills, they're not that good. And I know that there's some people that are going to disagree with me, but these are just my opinions. And my opinions hold no weight over your opinion. I promise you, it's okay. But yeah, the kills in this movie just kinda don't do it for me. So now that we got that out of the way, it's on to my final dislike for this film, which is Mickey's killer reveal. Now I know, a lot of people love Mickey. I thought he was a pretty cool character throughout the entire film, up until the point that it's revealed that he is the killer. Because whenever he's revealed to be the killer, he turns into a fucking cartoon character, and I don't enjoy that.
You should really deal with your trust issues, Sid. I mean, poor Derek. He's completely innocent. He's such a nice boy, too. He's bright and funny and handsome. Decent singing voice, and he was gonna be a doctor. These days, it's all about the trial. Can't you see it? Hamilton thing going. No, it's nice. I like it. Now who's doing that? Could that be the mystery guest waiting in the wings? Told you I had a partner, Sid. Billy's mother. Nice twist, huh? Didn't see it coming, did you?
And I get that they're going for like a Stu Macher representation of Scream 2, and it just feels inferior to me. So what made Stu work in Scream 1 is that, you know, Matthew Lillard was high energy throughout that entire film. So when it's revealed that he's the killer, he can be even more unhinged, and that's fine. He was that character throughout the movie. Mickey, on the other hand, was a cool, calm, collected person, and whenever it's revealed that he's a killer, he turns into a cartoon character, and it honestly just does not fit. It doesn't work for me personally. And it's not just Mickey that happens to, it's several characters that do that throughout this franchise. Everybody tries to out Matthew the Lillard, and you're never gonna out Macher the Stu. It's just not going to happen. Yet everybody tries to do it, and it never works. It only really worked for Stu Macher. It doesn't work for anybody else. I'm also just not a fan of his motivation. I'm glad that, you know, Nancy kind of had the intention to stab him in the back, because his motivation was stupid. I don't like it. It's dumb. Something about Mickey going unhinged drives me up the fucking wall. I can't help it. It's, you know, I used to like it whenever I was a kid. He was one of my favorite killers, but, you know, now as an adult, where my tastes and preferences of movies have changed and, you know, become something else, I can't get behind it. I just can't. I'm sorry. Outside of the pacing, the kills, and Mickey's reveal, I do love this movie. So even though for me this movie wasn't as perfect as the first one, I mean, none of the rest of the films are as perfect as the first one in my opinion. And even though we have some negatives in this film, I will still sit down and watch it any day of the week. I love this movie. I love all the Scream movies, to be fair. So all in all, I'm gonna go ahead and score this movie a 7 out of 10. Like, it's not a perfect movie, but it's not a bad movie either. And that's just gonna about do it for me. If you liked the video, let me know by leaving me a like. Comment down below what you want to see on the channel next. I will do my best to accommodate, and I will see you guys on Friday for a pretty dope Ghostface mask unboxing. So until next time, my name is Nightshade. This has been The Night Shift, and I will see you in the next video. Stay spooky, my friends.